Hi guys, how are you doing? So I'm back from my vacation and now we'll resume our Golang restaurant management backend project. And I'll also complete all the other series that I've not completed. One is the Golang and React to-do application, and then we have the CSRF one, and then there's a sitemap crawler. So those three also I'll quickly finish in the next couple of days, and then we'll keep continuing this restaurant management series. All right. So I'm in this video. So in the first video, I've shown you the brief of the project, and in this video, we'll actually start the coding. So as you can see, I'm in my PowerShell, and I'm on my in the place on my computer where I usually keep my Golang projects. So here, I want to create a new project called Restaurant Management. So I'll cd into it, and I will open this up in code editor. In this case, I'm using Visual Studio Code. And here we'll quickly start creating the folders that we need for the project. Right. So the structure that I'm going to keep is going to be quite straightforward. I'm not going to use a very complicated project structure. So I'm going to have controllers. By the way, I got this project structure from a Node.js project actually, so I'm trying to kind of follow that in Golang. And then I have a database folder. Then you have a middleware folder, and we'll have models, routes. All right. So these are the main ones actually. And then obviously you'll have your main.go file. Now in your controllers, actually let's start from models, all right? So in your models, you'd want to have, so we'll go to models and controllers and middleware like that, and then routes. So in your models, you'd want to have a file called foodmodel.go. I've already shown you in the first video that we'll have a food model, and we'll have a menu, we'll have an order item, or invoice, all of those things I've already shown you. Then we'll have another file called invoice model.go. Then we'll have menu model.go. So I like creating the structure and all the files before we actually start the coding process. All right, so that in this way, I've when I used to watch tutorials on YouTube, I used to always get confused that where exactly is the user, is the teacher now, where instructor right now, where is he, when did he create this file? So it's always, I found it really useful when the instructor would create all the files in the beginning, and he would show me the structure of the project like I had shown you in the first video. And then when you start writing the code in the files, then it just makes sense, because then you have complete context. Okay, now in my controllers I have these 4 files. Okay, I'm in this file now, right? You'll have complete context on how to navigate between the project. You'll never get confused. And then we'll have our order model. Then we have our order item model. All right. And table model. So we have food, invoice, menu, order item, table, and then I need a user model to log the user in. Then I'll need one more. It's called notedmodels.go, and I'll shortly explain to you why we need it. So these are all my models, all right? And now we'll work on our middleware. Middleware, I just need one. So if you've done the complete JWT authentication project, it's the same middleware that we'll use here. It's authmiddleware.go. And actually I'll have one more folder called helpers, not here but outside here. I'll have one more folder called helpers, and in helpers also we'll have a similar file like we did in the JW authentication series. So we'll have a token helper, right? And we'll have exactly the same structure, same code that we had earlier. Now let's work on our database folder. In a database folder, we'll just have one file called database connection.go, and then we'll work on our controllers. So controllers we'll have to have with respect to our models. What that means is that you'll have a controller for food, so you'll have food controller.go. Now this project structure that we're following is almost like an MVC, right? Where you get something from your route, it goes to your controller, it goes to your models, and then from the models you have a database connection. So that's the kind of structure I'm trying to follow here, right? So your controllers will almost have the same files as your models. So you'll have a food controller, and you'll have an invoice controller here. All right, we'll have a menu controller, an order controller, order items controller, table controller, and user controller. Okay, so very similar to this, right? So you have a food controller, invoice controller, menu controller, order items, table, user, same things basically. So our models and our controllers are done. Our database folder is also done, and our helper folder is done. So is our middleware function folder. Now all we need to work on is the routes folder. So in the routes folder, again we have our food router.go, and we have our invoice router.go. Then we'll have our menu router. So this is again equivalent to your models and controllers. Okay, so you have routes. From the routes, your project will enter from your main file. It will have all this connection to the routes. Then the data command will get distributed to the routes, and from the routes you'll have the controllers where you'll have most of the logic, and then from there you'll have the models. They'll refer to the models, right? So routes, you'll have your food router we've created, invoice router, menu router. You'll have your order router.go. Then you'll have your order item router, router.go, and table router and user router, table router.go, and user router.go. All right. So that's the project structure. Now I'll just close up all these files quickly. And now is the right time to start working on our main.go file. So main.go file basically has package main. Sorry. And you'll import a couple of things obviously. And you'll have a connection to the database. So I'll work on that later on, but for now let's just have a func main. And now let's start writing our func main. So here I'll say port. I'll just get the port, so it will be os.get environment port, and if port is nil, as in we have not set the environment variables, then by default we'll select port 8000. Okay, here. So I'm using the gin router. Router is equal to gin.new. If you don't know how gin router works, then do check out the JWT authentication tutorial series. I have explained there. So here we'll also use gin.logger, and we'll have routes. So before I use routes, let me actually import them here. So in the import statement, firstly I obviously need OS to get the environment, and then I need the database folder, I need the middleware folder, I need routes, and I need a MongoDB driver. So here we'll go and we'll initialize our project. So let's say go mod init restaurant management, and before that I'll just write Golang. So it creates a go.mod file for me, and here now in the project I can start saying Golang restaurant management / database. So now it was giving me squiggly lines before, and now it has resolved. So this is my absolute route, right? Golang restaurant management / database, and I'll use Golang restaurant management / routes. I'll get the routes package, and I'll get the middleware package as well. So I'll just copy and paste it here / middleware. Right. So these three things I definitely need, and I need a MongoDB driver. So I'll say go.mongodb.org /mongo driver /mongo. So now I'm getting these three squiggly lines here because I have imported these and it has resolved these for me, but I'm not using them. And I definitely need gin. So I'll say github.com/gingonic/gin. Okay. Here you'll say routes.user routes router and router.use middleware.authentication, and then we'll just initialize all the routes. So we'll say routes.food routes router and routes.menu routes router routes.table routes routes.order routes. So we're just initializing all our routes and order items routes. Run at the designated port. All right. So these are the routes that we're talking about, and here we'll say var food collection to basically get connected to the right collection. So let's say MongoDB.collection is equal to database dot open collection database dot client comma food. So if you have your Robo3T, if you're using a local host for MongoDB, or even if you're using a fully managed service, then you'll see the food collection get created whenever you run this project, right? Because even in MongoDB, even if you don't create a database specifically, it creates it for you. So all we've done in our main.go file is simply initialize all our routes, because when you use a router, you'll also have to use a middleware for authentication to check if the user is authenticated, and only then he'll be able to use these routes. And these are different routes. Like this time we don't have just user route, right? We have food routes and menu routes and table routes, all of those routes. That's why we have to initialize all of them. And so this is all that we have to do in our main.go file. So as simple as that, pretty straightforward. And now is a great time to start working on our user routes. So I'll come to my user routes package file and I'll call it package routes. I'll import a couple of things. So I obviously, in my routes file, I obviously need gengonic, and I need my controllers, because from the routers the control needs to go to the controllers. So I'll say Golang restaurant management / controllers. All right. So let's say func user routes and incoming routes is pointed to gen engine, and here you'll have multiple incoming routes. So for example, you have a get route for /users, which will return the list of the users, and we want controller.getUsers functions to handle it. Then we have incoming routes dot get user /user ID, and we want controller dot get user function to handle it, and incoming routes dot post and incoming routes dot post. So I'll have two post routes here for obviously for sign up and login, right? So here I'll say users /sign up comma controller dot sign up. So all you need to remember now is that you have to create these functions in the controller file: get users, sign up, and login. And here you'll say use users /login comma controller dot login. All right, so your user router file is also complete. So similarly, what we'll also do is, I'm running a little short on time, so I'll just create this food router file with you, and then in the next video we'll actually I'll cover up all the other router files. So here quickly I'll say package routes, and I'll import a couple of things, and I'll say func food routes. So this food routes, right, is a function in the routes package, and that's what we're defining here, right? This food routes. Similarly, we had user routes, and those are the functions that we've called in our main.go file, in case you got confused there. And here for our food routes, we'll have incoming routes *gen.engine, and I need gengonic here definitely /gengonic/gen. I need this package in all of my router files. And we obviously need access to controllers because that's where the command will go. So we don't have github.com this time. We'll just say Golang restaurant management / controllers. All right. So here you'll see incoming routes .get. I'll have 4 routes here. One will be for /foods, then I'll have /foods/id, and I'll have /foods for post to create a food item, and then I'll have an update for which I'll use patch. So I'll say incoming routes .get. So this will be for all foods, get all foods. This will be for get a particular food item, and this post will be for list, like creating a new food item. And this post will be, here it will be a patch to update a food item. So let's say /foods, controllers .get foods. Okay. And here one thing that I've not done is call this controller. And here I've made a small mistake. I've put /gen, so this squiggly line now goes away. I think I made this slight mistake here as well. I have to call it controller. All right. So for get, we'll say /foods /food ID, controller .get food. For post also we'll say /foods, controller .create food, and for patch we'll say /foods /food ID, controller update food. Perfect. So you have your user router ready, you have your food router ready, and your main go file is also ready. So as I said, I have to kind of go to a meeting. So I'll stop this video here, and in the next video we'll have to import these packages, and we'll start working on our other router files, and then we'll work on our controllers files as well. So do subscribe to this channel so that you come to know when this the new video for this series comes out. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.